Hi, this is Dr. Jenny, and we are still working on problem 6.3. We are in part C. We've already worked on creating both the stepwise regression and the exhausted search. One of the things I want you to notice is that in the next part we are supposed to compare the predictive accuracies of both models using measures such as RMSE and average error and lift charts. And I want to talk a little bit, I want to back up just a bit so that you can see what they're talking about here and get a little better understanding. This is in the PowerPoint, but essentially they're asking us to reduce the number of predictors. If you recall, if you can, you need to try to reduce the number of predictors in your regression variable, because the more predictors you have, the more chance you have for error. And so I had shown you in the last video that we could look at the regression model and start to see, as we added new things, which subset was the best. And in the exhaustive search, if we drop new, with the R squared is still 79, but if we dropped south with yes, it would drop to 75. So what you're doing is trying to find the predictor variable that you can drop and still have a high R squared. Now if we go into comparing this and you look at them, this is when, this is where they're talking about the RMS error. And essentially you see here's the stepwise variable. So I'm assuming that you've already done your stepwise 13 variable multiple regression and then your exhaustive search with 12 variables. And what you'll see is that your error is slightly smaller in model 2 than in model 3. And your average error is slightly smaller in model 2 than in model 3. So what they're doing is saying, can we drop them? Now here's another thing. When you do your multiple regression, one of the things you can do is select that you want lift charts created. And when that happens, what it does is it creates the lift chart. Now what we're looking for when we look at a lift chart is how closely the predicted fare aligns with the actual fare. So the software actually takes your work and does a prediction using your using the formula y equals a plus bx plus cx plus dx and so on. Each of those, a is your constant, b would be one of the variables, c another, d another, and so on and so on. So this is essentially creating what's called a lift chart. And there are some additional resources that talk about lift charts, but essentially what this is doing is showing you a way to compare to see how well your multiple regression is predicting the fares. Now if I go on here, we want to choose a model with the least number of predictors or input that has a good R squared. And then that leads us to step 5, where we're told to use model 3, the 12 predictor model. And this is how well we see the predictor model will tell us the fare. So I'm going to stop here and we'll pick up the next one with 6.3 part 5.